What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another live stream here on the Sergeant Tank YouTube channel. I've actually thrown off a little bit. I had the camera flipped around, but that shouldn't change, hopefully, too much of the orientation. But anyways, usually the camera's on this side, so things might be looking backwards to you. What we're going to be doing today is going around for the next little bit here, and I'm going to show you guys with regard to pulling specifically spawning mops, even though I've done videos like this before in the past. You can go ahead and check that card here if you're watching this in the replay, and that will bring you to a playlist where I've talked a little bit more about this in more detail. And some of the spawning mops that we'll be taking a look here at today will be with regard to some rainbow fish and killifish specifically. So go ahead, sit back, grab yourself a drink, popcorn, if that's what you're into, and we're going to go ahead and get to the show. Alright, so let me know, give me a thumbs up if audio, video, I do have my condenser mic on, so my lapel mic, and hopefully it's somewhat drowning out some of the ambient noise in the background. JH Aquatics, what's going on, buddy? Jeff Rose Fish Keeping in the house, what's going on? So we'll be starting here. I got a helper here with me today that's going to be holding the camera, and I'll just kind of walk you guys through it. I don't know how long this live stream is going to go, but I want to make sure that I get to all your guys' questions and information that I'm able to. Audio, video, good, right on. All right, so I'm going to hand the camera over here to my helper, and then he's just going to follow around here. So the first ones that we're going to be taking a look at here is a specific species of killifish. This is your golden wonder killifish. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out the mop. And I apologize about the lighting. We will, the biggest concept I want you guys to see is just the concept behind the utilization of spawning mops. And if you guys are interested in getting one of these are available. I'm not trying to plug the website, but I do have people ask oftentimes, hey, where can I get a spawning mop? We do custom make these, and they come with a 2-inch bobber. So what's nice is you can go ahead, you can quick release. So if you want to utilize the bobber towards the bottom of a tank, or if you want to keep them afloat, so they kind of just, you know, stay afloat within the water column, then you can do it this way. So we're going to head over here to the wash tank, or the wash tub, and we'll see if we have any eggs specifically on this spawning mop. So I'm going to go ahead and kick on my LED light. I find that LED light works the best. This is something I talked about last week. What you can do is you can get one of those magnifying mirrors, and that's ultimately what I would recommend. I just have been used to it enough through the years that I'm comfortable with doing it this way. But it does stand out a little bit more. And I have not pulled these mops, I want to say, in about 4 days. So we'll see. These are new spawners. They're new groups, so right now the production, since they're kind of going through an observation stage, I haven't put a lot of time into getting them conditioned as far as spawning. So this is just kind of more of an opportunistic type of situation, just to see what type of breeding behavior I'm getting as they're kind of going through that little mini quarantine / observation phase. And again, you can go ahead and check that that iCard that I can put for you guys right there if you're watching this in the replay. So if you want to focus here on the spawning mop and just kind of look through here, and we'll see a lot of times they like to deposit the embryos or the eggs right up here towards the top, just below the bobber. And with regard to breeding specifically non-annuals, you can go ahead and check that card out. Talk a lot more as far as conditioning and that type of stuff. So I'm confident to say no eggs, unfortunately, there, but again, I haven't put a lot of time into conditioning. This is just to see what type of opportunities I can get. So let's head back over to that rack. and we'll get this back into the system. Obviously, good judgment and common sense practices, as I've talked about, as far as implementation, is you want to ensure that your hands, of course, are sanitized. I prefer using hand sanitizer, and just make sure that you have no like residual residue or anything like that on your hands. And that's just a good implementation to have no matter what you're dealing with when it comes to aquariums. All right, so the next one's here. These are a Fundalepantix Gardneri. And it's always a good idea just to ensure when you're pulling the mops that you don't ever get one of the parents wrapped up in the mop. Because obviously you don't want to squeeze them. So you want to go ahead and just carefully wring this out. You don't have to put a ton of pressure on it. But what happens is when you dry that mop out a little bit more with your hand, it'll actually start to bring some of those embryos more towards the surface. So let's head back over here. There is an easier way. I'm just kind of showing you guys step by step, so I'm trying to take my time with this. This typically doesn't take that long to do because it's just a process that you get used to. Is let's say I would have separate like dip and pours or something like that where I can put all the mops in, bring them all at once, have them all labeled, know exactly what species they are. And if we do end up obtaining any embryos, which I'm very confident that we will because we do have several mops to go through. So like I said, just kind of kick back and relax. And it is enjoyable with doing this. This is one of my favorite aspects of the hobby. That's why I really enjoy mop spawners. So you can see right there, there's already an embryo. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna keep that here. I don't have, since we're kind of going through and doing resets, I don't have a ton of, you can go ahead and put the camera on me. Kind of go back a little bit, move back a little bit, yeah. I don't have a ton of setups. Let me rephrase. It's been a busy weekend, so I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. But we've been going through doing a lot of resets here in the fish rooms, and I'll try to bring you guys more updates. I'll try to bring you guys some more edited content. And once I get back to the groove as far as doing that type of video content for you guys, because I know people enjoy aspects of breeding, and that's what I do. At this point, I've bred every single family of fish. Obviously not every species. My ultimate goal someday is to reach master breeders, and that would be ideally within the next 7 to 10 years, which is about 450 different species. My ultimate goal is to spawn about 40 to 50 different species each year. And if you guys, just kind of as a side note, this is the fish tube, so we have Rob Lupton with Aquatics. 2 thumbs up to Rob, did a phenomenal job with regard to talking about shrimp, specifically Neocaridina, as well as Caridina when it comes to the breeding aspects and kind of the setup process. I myself, as a lot of you guys are aware, I've been breeding shrimp for almost 14 years. So that actually is what got me back, even though I started in the hobby way back in 1990. Well, what reintroduced me from my hiatus to the hobby about that many years ago was actually shrimp, was nano, dwarf species of shrimp. So let's head over here, and this right here, if you want to show them this cabinet, these are actually 329-gallon systems. And then this is where I nerd out. So I just pulled this morning is, as you can see here, I dated it, abbreviated it, and I pulled 3. And these are some other killifish species. So I've already pulled those 3 eggs. So what I do is I take these little drawers. This is nothing new. This is very common practice, especially with killifish breeders. So what I'm going to do is I already have my light here. I'm going to go ahead and utilize, should have been better prepared for you guys, but we're just going to have to roll with it. I'm going to obtain some reverse osmosis water, and I'll explain that why here in a couple of minutes. So let's just put that mop down, and I got my son here, my oldest, so I'm just trying to teach him kind of, so give us a thumbs up if he's doing a good job with holding the camera here for me. I know that can be, because I'm moving around a lot here, so I'm trying to throw him off a little bit to see, because I know that's something that he wants to get into eventually, is to help me out when it comes to videography. So this is it's on a remote system. You can't see it, it's behind this wall here, but I do have a 55-gallon drum. I can produce up to 150 gallons of pure reverse osmosis deionization, so basically a true pH of 6.8 to 7 with 0 TDS. Once it starts reaching much above 0 TDS, even into much above the 2 or 3 level, then I'll go ahead and switch out the membranes. I'll do a separate video for you guys in the future on that. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill up. This is going to come out crazy fast. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just, so I don't have to, you love spiders, hey? So if you guys enjoy, I don't get freaked out with spiders. These aren't anything uncommon here in Michigan, but sorry for anybody that was in the spiders. So I went ahead and I promised you didn't feel anything. So I'm gonna clean this out good with the RO water. So as you guys may know, anybody that has followed me for any period of time at all, instead of using dip and pours, I just use these from the dollar store. You can still see the fish. Obviously, from a photographic point of view, you're not going to want to use these, obviously, to take pictures. But they work really well when you're getting ready to bag fish and that type of thing. So let's head back over there by the mop. So if you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, I guess that's what we're supposed to do, is ask for thumbs up. I hate asking for thumbs up, but more importantly, if my son's doing a good job, give him a thumbs up. All right, so here's the one embryo, and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Why I utilize sanitized tweezers is due to the fact that any contaminants that I may have directly from my hands to the egg itself could potentially transfer over and cause almost like a additional calcification effect that can cause issues to where the embryos can actually start to evolve with inside. So this is why with killifish I find utilizing RO water versus any type of dechlorinated tap water does better for me. And if we look in here, no embryo development yet. And what I mean by that is just a simple way is you would see eye development. And I'll show you here in a minute with the other ones I pulled this morning with a different group of killies. So if you want to put the camera back here on the mop, I know this is just kind of one of those things that that I hope you guys have some interest in, because it's always intriguing. I mean, when you find little eggs like that. See, here's another one. And I'm doing this one-handed because I'm actually using my light. I will get a better setup for you guys, I promise. So if I do this live, what I kind of want to do is each Sunday is I'll just kind of start like a little routine. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you guys are watching this, if this is anything at all that interests you. And we'll just kind of solely focus on going around about, you know, you guys can kind of walk through, you know, live rather than it being edited, so you kind of see it as I see it, and I'll kind of utilize Sundays as like a designated day to pull mops. So how does that sound to you guys? Is that anything of interest? Are you guys going to the Aquatic Experience? Let me know right now. Just put hashtag Aquatic Experience 2018 if you guys are going. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it, but I'll be there with you guys in spirit. Yeah, I wish I was able to make it. Unfortunately, it just isn't going to work out. The good news is, though, I just made my reservation. If you guys are familiar with the Ohio Cichlid Association, phenomenal talk speakers there. I'll go ahead and add that information for you guys in the description if you want to check it out later. But from that point of view, the Ohio Cichlid Extravaganza that will be happening in November, the third weekend in November, I will be going to that. So that's much closer for us versus going all the way to, and it's much more cost effective. If you guys are looking at a phenomenal, I don't see any more embryos in here. Again, this doesn't take that long, you guys. I can honestly go through, let's say I got 15 different species of Mops spawners. That would honestly take me maybe 25 minutes to go through thoroughly and make sure. So it's one thing when I'm here live going through with you guys, talking to you at the same time. So we'll go ahead and reintroduce. The most important thing is you want to label. So you don't want to forget that. You always want to make sure you know exactly what species it is, especially with rainbow fish, killifish, and that type of stuff. I mean, they take quite a while to raise up, and even when they do get to maturity, a lot of killies can really, they got stunning colors, and a lot of them can really, what do you want to say, look pretty similar. So before I even move on, I'm going to show you guys how I label here. So this is a fundamental Penchex Gardner eye in a deer here. So what I'll do is I'll just abbreviate it FGI, and then I'll know. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Then I date it, and I put how many eggs I actually obtained. So let's head back over here real quick to this little tray. And of course I don't have a pen on me, but I should have one handy here. Yep. And I'll show you guys a little bit more effective system once I get that implemented that I used to use before. That makes this process quite a bit faster. But like I said, I'm going through, did a lot more resets and just more fluency within the fish room. And then it's the, what is it, 13th or 14th today? 14th. And then we pulled, what, 3 of them. So we pulled 3. So I just put PU, abbreviated, times 3. Put it on here. And then the key thing that I find that helps kind of, so I don't have to do like water changes or anything, you can add a little bit of like Java moss or guppy grass in there if you wanted to. I'm not going to go through in this live stream talking about once they start out, because I do have a full, very detailed video on that. So I'm going to take a little bit of Purigen, which is the same thing I utilize when it comes to shipping. And I've talked about this before, and I've done videos on shipping, so you can check that out. And I'm going to go ahead and just carefully reinsert this tray back in there. So let me flip the camera back around real quick here, you guys, before we move on any more. IFG in the house, what's happening, brother? I'm gonna send you a label maker, bro, right on. Let's see. I think I do have a label maker. Yeah, let me know more about it. Let me know. Let me get in a different spot here, so we can have a chat. I feel like the lighting is just horrible. There we go. That's my son in the background. Yeah, it's just no good spot. Let's head back out here real quick. I want to sit down anyways, as you guys know. Physically, it's. I apologize, you guys. You would think this is my first rodeo, but it's not. Again, I had the orientation of the camera flipped, and it was too late at that point. Already gone live, so no water. Expos up here, just reptile. Let's see. What's up with the shirt, Palmer Fish? What's going on, dude? All right, so fish tube. This was actually, I believe, was the concept from Kasha from I want to say Creative Pet Keeping. Don't quote me on that. But kind of came up with the concept back at Aquashella, and I'll have my son show you here in a minute once I hand the camera back over a lot of the YouTubers that will be there, and folks that will be showing up, as well as the sponsors at the bottom. So I thought it was awesome. If you guys haven't, and if you're watching this in the replay, go ahead and check out that link right there, and that will send you over, and I'll also add it down in the description. Check out Rob Lupton with Flip Aquatics. I'm used to the camera over here, so anyway, go ahead and check out that information, and that will tell you about the awesome opportunity that came about with regard to the Aquatic Experience New Jersey coming up here this year in New Jersey. So some awesome things for the hobby, and I really think that you guys will just kind of be taken back and in awe to the fact of the opportunities from a lot of these larger companies, and they've seen the influence with various content creators, especially through social media, the presence that has been brought from that point of view. They just from last year, the amount of turnout and that type of stuff, it was just awesome. And the booth this year, what I had heard, it's about 30 some feet, and they're actually incorporating like couches and chairs, and it's a whole awesome setup. So again, you can check out Flip Aquatics. You can check out his latest video. Corey boy, what's going on, buddy? We got Chris in the house. Hello. Let's see here. I'll be getting my shirt in 5 days. So I am the first one here to have a shirt. So he actually brought an XL, but it's all right. Usually I wear a large. You know, I need some room for my guns here. Anyway, I know. Bad dad joke. Let's see. We got Charlie in the house. How you doing, buddy? Just want to make sure real quick, you guys, I don't have any. We got KG in the house. What's going on? Let's see. All right. So I think that just about does it. We got Cindy in the house. How you doing? All right. So let's go back in there. You guys enjoying this? If you're enjoying it, give me a thumbs up. If not, you can dislike it. It's fine. It still helps us either way. I understand. Again, I gotta take breaks. I'm not fast like I used to be. So we're gonna flip the camera on here in a minute. We're gonna take a look. I can't believe we've already been going for 23 minutes. All right, I'm not gonna be able to go through every single one of them like I thought I would. So yeah, I apologize about that. You taking off?
Yes.
The wife is taking off. Where are you going? You get more pets?
Yeah.
You get more fishy friends?
Feathered friends. Mwah. Love you.
You want to say hi to the world?
Hello to the world. We're gonna go find costumes for the kids at Walmart, Target, Meijer.
The much better looking half. So, all right, let's go back in here, check it out. What costume are you getting for me? Since I don't wear costume.
Or a pirate. Then we can have
a pirate costume. You want to tell them about the costume we wore a few years ago?
No, but you can.
All right. All right. If you guys want to know, don't judge me.
Let's flip around the camera.
Yeah. Don't judge. But if you want to hear about a funny story here in the process from a few years ago, with regard to, I'm not into the whole Halloween thing, but it was a Halloween party, and this was several years ago. My wife and I went dressed up as these, I guess you would say celebrities, but yeah, so there's that for you. Gotta have my coffee. As you guys know, I used to drink 24 cups of coffee a day, and that barely got me through. So this right here is probably just a Colombian roast. Either a medium to a dark roast. As you can see, nothing foo-foo. I just drink it straight black. None of that. You don't need any of that creamer and stuff. All right, so let's head over here. We've already done a couple of killifish. Let's take a look at some rainbow fish. Why don't we? So these are some Australian rainbows with some other community fish in there. And these guys breed or spawn all the time. Again, you just kind of carefully want to go through. Make sure that there's no babies or anything. Go ahead and squeeze it out. And let's see what we got rocking in this mop. Oh, gold mine. Look at that. Woo, doggy. Gold mine. As you can see, I get a little excited. Oh, man. All right, I'm gonna have to do this one a little bit later. I'm not gonna go through and pull them all. You can, yes, stick the mop. You can stick the whole mop into a designated tank, let them naturally do that. I don't. I'm not gonna explain it in here. I've done it that way. I'll explain in a different video, okay? There's a method to my madness, I promise. You get better yields, I feel, by doing it the way I do it. So, all right, do they wanna know about the story? You guys wanna know? What are they saying in the chat? You gotta hold the camera up so they can see me. Just don't end live stream. I've done that before.
No.
Are they falling asleep yet? You guys falling asleep yet? Wake up. Morning time. Come on. All right. As you can see, I get excited when it comes to mop spawners. Do you guys want to take a look at something different? All right, let's take a look at the Synodon exclusive pennants. I'll show you how I do that. I wasn't planning on doing that, so I don't have what I need. But I'm going to let Joel show you. Why don't you just put the camera over here so they can look at these little Frontosa babies while I get what I need. Why don't you focus the camera on there? All right. These are some of my Frontosa friends. All right, whatever you do, do not move because I got my mic up there and I don't want to fall in the water. If they're asking any questions, you can answer it.
Jeffro says, tell a story.
Alright, so the story. Hold on, they're not going to hear me.
Twin Cities wants me to do a really quick dab.
Huh? What did he say? What did Ken say?
Dab. Twin Cities.
Oh, Ken Lee wants me to do the dab?
No, me.
Oh, Lord. Alright. Hold on. Do the dab. Oh! Kills me every time.
It's his favorite.
Alright, let me mic back up here.
Stop bragging, Jeff. No, Jeffro said, hey, I've seen those fish in person. And then Charlie says, stop bragging. Yes, it's back, King Lee says.
Alright, why don't you head on over here. Don't drop the power pack out of your pocket.
Yeah, I wanted to show the shirt a second.
Oh, yeah. So, these are the confirmed... Can you see it with the lighting?
Yeah.
These are the confirmed YouTubers. Like I said, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make it. And then the sponsors there at the bottom. I don't want to take away from... I think they got it. They can pause it. I don't want to take away from what Rob shared on the video. So like I said, check that out down in the description if you want to know more. It's his latest video. Just go check out Flip Aquatics on YouTube, and you can see just the amount of awesomeness that is happening for you guys that are going to be attending the Aquatic Experience. Not only that, but future conventions with that regard. So let's take a look here at these are Synodontis lucipennis. I also have the multipetatus in the other fish room, which I've done an update on via live stream. So the way that these are spawned, I haven't done a in-depth video for you guys. The key thing that I find that I do a little bit differently than other folks is I utilize a spawning mop. The embryos, the adhesion on those will not bond to like an acrylic spawning mop or even plants. They will fall loosely down. So the concept here with utilizing like smooth stone, marbles, that type of thing, there's a lot of different ways, again, you guys, to achieve the same result by implementing what works for you. So my strategies and what I implement is I'm one of those individuals that I want to prove everybody wrong. When somebody tells me it's not possible to do it X way, I'm going to prove that you can do it X way. That's just always been my thing. I take everything as a challenge. So what I do here is carefully remove this part. These guys really haven't been conditioned. I do about 72 hours before a storm front moves in, and I go ahead and hit them with about a 15-20% water change. And I go ahead and I condition them through utilizing foods and that type of stuff. So what you want to do is carefully just fill this up, utilizing the key thing I find with these guys is using the exact same water from their ecosystem. And like I said, they can be a little challenging. Just be patient with it to kind of trigger them with spawning. And then the main thing is the critical part, which is of course always raising with a lot of these different species, is the fry. So I'm just carefully going through. Unfortunately, I do see a lot of eggs in there, but they're all infertile, unfortunately. And that's part of the game. I do see some fertilized ones, and you'll see just about how awesome it is when it comes to, and redundancy is key. So I'm not removing the stone that's in here. You can use marbles. So you want to do that several times. I think you guys get the point. We're going to go ahead, put that back down. And then this is like just an old tea bottle that I cut a little opening in. And what they'll do is they'll actually go in here. And I have acting as, so can you put the camera on me a minute? So I've talked about this before. There's different implementations when it comes to certain species of fish. So you have pair spawners, you have harem spawners. There's many different opportunities there for you. And again, there's different implementations that you can do with regard to spawning that can get the same result. So there's also other ones when it comes to like host spawning. So where basically, let's say a cichlid of some sort, depending on, again, on the species, especially like, let's say with the multipentanus, is they'll do more or less like host spawning. So they'll actually hold the eggs. So as those cichlids are spawning, these guys in conjunction are spawning. They're picking up simultaneously eggs from each one. And what happens is it actually outcompetes the other. And then the cichlid doesn't realize that what they're holding is, let's say, the Synodontis. And then once they become, you know, either if you strip them or if they become free swimming from that standpoint, you know, being like a mouth brooder, then yeah, it's a really unique thing to see how they work in conjunction. But I can nerd out about that all day. So let's take this over and I'll show you guys here. Let's head back over here by the light. And they can see just how many eggs. And then this is actually a small batch, but you guys can already see wigglers down in there. If you focus, you want to focus, bring the camera more. So if you guys can see, here, I'll take my light out of the way. See those wigglers down there? Those are baby Lucipennis. So let me show you guys. The thing is, again, I'm not going to go through. Can you give this a thumbs up if Joel's doing a good job? My son's doing a good job with the video. If there's 2 thumbs up buttons, you can do 2, but unfortunately there's not. Let's take a look here at some of the Lucipennis. So these guys are actually from August 26th. They were actually pulled on August 26th, and they will become, it only takes about 2 or 3 days before they become, you know, in that regular state. And then within 5 days or so, 5 or 6 days, they'll more or less become like free swimming, and then at that point you can start introducing foods, live foods, like microworms. They love microworms. Let me see if I carefully pull up this mop. If we can get some of them. There you go. Can you focus there on the little ones? My encouragement and my tip, if you can focus the camera back on me. My tip for you guys is, if you want to get into doing those, let nature take its course. And what I mean by that is, you're gonna have to allow the weak ones to just expire. That's just the nature of the game. You want those weak genetic lines to dissipate, and there really is no other way to try to say it, and I'm not gonna water it down. But that's how you develop some of the strongest lineage with just about every species that you can imagine. Some of the most well-known aquarists within this industry, some of the best you know, experts in the fields, do it in that method. Same thing like with the pelvichromis that I talked about before, like your West African cichlids, a lot of those dwarf cichlids and that type of stuff. But again, if you guys are doing your thing, my ultimate goal is to bring some insight and inspiration for you guys. Like I said, I've bred a lot of different stuff, from anabantoids, cyprinids, characins, catfish, rainbow fish, killifish, cichlids, shrimp. The list goes on. So I'm pretty excited about that. And again, so I didn't put a lot of time into this, you guys. Keep it simple. You can focus the camera back on me. The best thing I can say about this is, like I said, 72 hours ago, I went ahead and did a water change, about 15-20%. Went ahead and reintroduced with reverse osmosis deionization. So true RODI, not RO water, but the DI is the most important, which are bringing that 0 TDS. So once you kind of mimic those rainy seasons, on top of conditioning them with certain foods leading up to that, I get a spawn every 3 weeks if I put the time into it. And yields that are about 4 times what you guys see here. Again, I didn't put a lot of time into it. There's a lot of breeding projects. Our goal here within our fish rooms is to breed about 50 different species, and then a lot of those species I will be incorporating, of course, on our website, which is sergeantpayne.com. We do have some things available. A couple of things I want to mention to you guys before we wrap things up here. Aquatic Experience, again, unfortunately we can't make it. Definitely check it out. I know that these will be for sale because of the sponsorships. Don't quote me on the price. I want to say, of course, in limited quantity, you're going to want to get them right away. So as soon as you show up at the convention, if you guys are going to the Aquatic Experience in 2018 this year in New Jersey, I highly recommend, if you want one of these, check them out. They're $5. Don't quote me on the price. I think that's what they are, rather than having to initially pay $20 because of the sponsors that have joined these big companies. And you guys just seen a little bit ago on the back of my shirt, part of these companies are the ones that went ahead and help support, because they see how social media in the generation like us, you know, people that are in their 30s and 40s are passionate about this hobby. You know, a lot of these, you know, the generation that I highly respect and look up to, as you guys know, they've been following me for long enough. I'm one who's a big advocate on clubs. Huge advocate when it comes to the importance of aquarium clubs. It's very, very important from that point of view, not only from the standpoint of that's how we, younger generation, are able to identify a lot of different tips and tricks, especially if you are a fish breeder, and be able to acquire a lot of unique and not so common species that you can find within the hobby. Do you guys have any questions for me? Again, if you guys like this, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, if you don't like it, go ahead and dislike. I don't care either way. It helps us with regard to the algorithm. I don't think a lot of people realize that, but either way, thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. I do enjoy engaging in conversations after the live stream. Again, the lighting isn't the greatest, and I don't have a lot of lighting for various reasons. Again, I'm a breeder. I'm not just one that keeps fish. I breed fish. I breed a lot of different fish, and there's a lot of different things that go along with, fish breeding. So a lot of lighting and a lot of conditioning and certain temperatures and different factors like that. Any questions in there? I need a drink here.
JH says that the t-shirts are $5.
$5. JH confirmed. You have the camera on me, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Is your hand pretty steady? Is his hand steady? Give him feedback, you guys. How's he doing? Let him know. A lot of you guys in here it's not your first rodeo. You guys know how it is. I think he's doing a good job. He's doing a really good job. If you guys kind of seen the contraption, the way it was set up right now, I got actually a jump pack. So that's kind of a tip for you guys. I got a jump pack that you would use for like a vehicle for a battery, and you can get them, you can order them. But anyways, they're not too terribly big. You can fit them in your pocket, and they work really, really well because they have like a USB on this one, so that's how I'm able to keep the screen going, keeping the phone charged. What is the battery? What is it at right now?
100% the whole time.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Went from like 91% to 100%
Awesome.
like 3 minutes.
100%. This takes up a lot of bandwidth, you guys.
Yeah.
You want me to take it? Yeah, I'll take it. All right. All right. They're all saying nice job. Let's head back over here. Again, this was completely impromptu. I wasn't necessarily planning on. I'm gonna go take a seat here. Got any plans on coming to Pittsburgh? Not this year. I would love to get out that way next year. Absolutely. I will definitely keep you guys, again, you would think I'm a complete noob. I keep looking over here because the orientation to get just join in. You see me looking here, I'm thinking the camera's on this side, so. But not this year, definitely wasn't there this year. I want to get back out that way next year, though. Update. We are doing a meetup. Turbo Fish, so AJ Meyer. You can check him out. He's on YouTube. Does video content. He's an admin of mine over on the Sergeant Tank Facebook group. That information is down for you guys below. I will add this. If you guys are watching this at this point in the replay, I will add all the information for you guys. So any pertinent information with regard to anything I mentioned here, I'll add it in the description so you guys can check out any of those links. We do have a meetup coming first weekend here, so just in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited about it. So we got like a little mini YouTube meetup. In the Hoppenasay, Chicago area. We will be meeting, I want to say it's Aquarium Adventures, don't quote me on that. He's facilitating a lot of the logistics that go behind with regard to setting up times and places and that type of stuff. I want to say we're meeting at 1 p.m. Central Time, if I remember correctly. So again, don't quote me on that. And that will be on Saturday, November the 3rd. Corey Boy said, when did you change water in Little Cup killifish? So The main thing, you guys, when it comes to water, I'm going to here with my hand. I'll have my son hold the camera. As you guys know, I got a lot of like neuropathic issues, but my hands are too steady. So with that regard, the main thing I can tell you guys is consistency, and don't stress yourself out with regard to doing a ton of, even though that killifish, let me back up, even though killifish can be prone to a lot of bacterial issues, if conditions aren't optimal, and that's with a lot of different fish. The other hand of that, that's what you're talking about, those trays, because of the utilization here, I don't spend 30 minutes covering it. I've already covered, it's one of my biggest views, got several thousand views. It's the killifish breeding video I did. And again, when you're talking about annuals versus semi-annuals to non-annuals, talking specifically more about non-annuals, more water incubation methods versus like peat and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into that here. I would recommend that you check that video out, and it will cover everything there with that regard.
When do you change water in the little cups for killifish? Or?
I just covered that.
Do you use methylene blue or anything with your eggs?
So I am not a proponent when it comes to utilizing methylene blue. Methylene blue can actually create a certain calcified, I can nerd out on this, but I'm just a firm believer you'll have more adverse effect issues long term through embryo development when you utilize certain chemicals. I've tried both methods. I can tell you that's not necessary and you don't need it. If I'm utilizing something to help from a antibacterial standpoint, you can utilize even natural tannins from Indian almond leaves. You can actually boil them and utilize the tannins within that. I've done that. You can put Indian almond leaves that have been, semi broken down from the existing system. I've done it that way. Or you can utilize what I've shown you. But there is so many different factors that go into, because not everything do I use when I'm hatching out of embryo state. Do I utilize RODI water? A lot of times I'm using aquarium water. Sometimes I use different types of aquarium water. Temperature's key. So I look at all the factors when it comes to water parameters. I look at your total dissolved solids. I look at your bicarbonates, your calcium. I look at your general hardness. I look at pH, temperature is a factor. So there's a lot of different things that come into play. That's why it's really hard to do videos for you guys. My goal is at some point is to do like a blog style and implement that on my website, so you guys can actually have the a version there that you can actually go to as a source. There is a lot of sources out there on many different things that I mentioned throughout the fish rooms. I just want to give you my perspective. I can honestly and truly say, anybody that's been following me long enough, I implement my own methods. I find what works for me. I test many different methods over a course of a minimum of 6 months to a year, depending on the species. A, B, C, and D. I do between 3 and 5 different methods, and then once I feel comfortable to what I feel is the most sustainable long term, and also obtaining the best results as far as a yield, then I'll go ahead and incorporate that into a video. Does that make sense? So again, the science that goes behind, it's not just as easy as saying, hey, set up a 10-gallon tank, this is what you need to add. It's not that easy, you guys. Now there's other situations where you can keep it more simplified if you're looking at more egg spawning type species, so more substrate spawners versus, like live-bearing species or mouth breeders or that type of thing. You can, like with your galaxy reservoirs, commonly known as your celestial probdanias, I have an ecosystem and a 10-gallon with a group in there where just have, half the tank with some nias grass, spawning mop in there, even though the embryos won't actually attach to the spawning mop. You're going to want to actually implement a little bit different strategy, similar to the Synodontis that I shared with you guys, but it is a little bit different. However, with that ecosystem, I can get yields by setting it and forgetting it, because a lot of the fry will just survive naturally within that ecosystem, and I have several fry just chilling up at the top of that tank. And I'm just going to let nature do its thing. Yeah, I understand you're not going to be able to achieve the same amount of yields as you would by implementing some of the other strategies. But again, you want to just kind of sit back, enjoy, because it's an enjoyable process to watch. Naturally, even though it's not, that's kind of contradictory, but you know what I'm saying, naturally in the standpoint of within a home aquarium setting. So
Derek asks, what are your tips about apistogrammas?
So depending on the species, a lot of them do require a little bit more acidified conditions. A lot of them will spawn within like nooks and crannies, so caves, coconut hides, that type of thing. We do carry those. If you guys want to check it out, they're custom made out of Florida. I got small and mediums available. You can check them out. You don't have to buy from us, but if you want to know what I'm talking about, check out the pictures on our website, which is sergeanttank.com. That'll kind of give you an idea. But there is different, it depends on the species, but a lot of them do, if you create rock piles, even PVC, just kind of depends. My recommendation, depending on the species, is to really, really in-depth and objectively look at all of your different findings. Don't just go to one source. And I can tell you firsthand, from being a fish breeder for a lot of years and just seeing the information that's out there through social media and through forums is just really, really bad information, and it's just not very accurate. So make sure that you get legitimate information. And if you're wondering how to decipher between what's legit and what's not, that's where you need to come up with a consensus of, let's say you have 80 to 90% information that falls in one category for whatever particular fish it may be, and then you have 10% that kind of like, yeah, this doesn't make much sense. Obviously, common sense thing is fall into that category and then try to implement it that way.
No more chat since that last one.
So we're gonna wrap things up here. Go ahead and all right. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. Made you guys sick. Make sure everybody's awake. You guys awake? All right. All right, so Trinity, when it comes to transporting a fish, I would recommend checking out a how-to tutorial video. I've done it here about a year and a half ago on the channel when it comes to shipping a fish. So the same basis, depending on where you're coming from and to, and the distance in that. There isn't really a lot of factors that go into transporting a fish. It's not just as simple as giving a straight response like, okay, this is the option, because there is multiple variables with that. I would need to know a little bit more as far as like locality, how far you're traveling, and you know, some fish can be a little bit sensitive, but I could mention 50 different methods right now off the top of my head, and there might be only 2 or 3 that would be the best for you. All right, so most plecos are pretty hardy, so what I would recommend doing, depending on what pleco species that you'll be obtaining, you can go ahead and utilize just a basic like fish bag concept, or if you have like a little mini ecosystem you want to set up. The one thing about that is if you put them like in a styro cooler or in a regular cooler, something that can retain the water that's not going to leak, or even a small aquarium, a tote, is keep in mind the more water volume that you have. I'm not taking away, that's why I'm not a huge proponent when it comes to utilizing larger totes and then putting your fish in there. If it's a short commute, 5-10 minutes, hey, but if it's a several hour commute, the more water volume you have, the more opportunity they're going to be sloshing back and forth. So you need to keep that in mind. You don't really want your fish banging back and forth. So me personally, I would do it the exact same way as if I'm shipping fish, is the way I would do it. I would follow the exact same principle as if I was actually shipping the fish with that regard. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Derek, thanks so much. But my arm is about ready to give way, you guys. That's why I'm getting shaky. We went a little bit beyond. We're almost up to the hour mark, so that's kind of nice. We did an hour live stream here for you guys. I appreciate you guys joining in. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Hopefully you can take something away from it. Make sure if you enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. And I always enjoy carrying on this conversation right down in the comment section. Make sure you guys check everything out down in the description below. And with that being said, you guys, as always, stay encouraged. Keep on keeping on. Happy fishing. And we'll talk to you guys right back here on the next one.